Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim Matthews. Tim, what's going down, brother?
Lots.
There's a lot going down in the Powerful Man movement. All good things, though.
Oh, fantastic things. The team's almost doubled in size. Well, will have almost doubled in size by the end of the year within the final 6 months of the year. Well, from the beginning of the year, I think it will have tripled in size, which is awesome. So just get to help more and more men and have more and more great people on the team. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, what I love so much about, I love a lot of things about our team, but I also love how as men go through our programs, they impact their lives in such a dramatic way that then they turn around and want to give back. And so we have so many guys who are alumni volunteering. Some guys are joining the team because they're realizing, wow, this made such an impact on my life, my family's life, that I want to give back in a bigger way. Like this is now, I want to make this my purpose, my why, so to speak. And so many of us men are out there, we've been successful in business, at least my story, successful in business. And I'm looking for something that's going to be greater than myself to give back. And, mentoring and doing things like this podcast are ways that I'm able to do that. And, our team is growing exponentially because we're helping so many more men. And because it works so well, the guys that go through the program are like, yep, I want to get back. Mm-hmm. That's also like, guys, if you ever see any of the testimonials or how he did it videos, these are normal guys like you. They're not dying to get on camera until they go through the program. It impacts them in such a dramatic way that they're like, yep, I don't necessarily want to get on camera, but I also have to get on camera because I need the former version of myself to see this message. I need other men to see this so they're not struggling as long as I did. And I think that gets lost sometimes, right? You just, this guy is just on camera. No, he's a business leader who probably doesn't want to necessarily share all of his things publicly, but yes, also feels called to because it changed the life of usually him and his kids and his family, generational. Speaking of that, Tim, I got a long question for us, or there's some story in this question, and I'm going to read it. I'll call him D. It's one of the guys that is recently joined the program. We'll say that. And going through that, and he said, hey, look, I can use some insight. And I said, look, I'll read this out and Tim and I will hash it out. And I haven't read the whole thing, Tim. So bear with me, guys, listen to this. But I think there's some gold nuggets in here that we'll be able to pull out that'll apply to your life. And what he says is, my wife spent so much time avoiding me all summer that it actually pushed me away. Now I'm the one who's checked out. As a result, she's brought up moving out again, claiming it would help the relationship. I said, yes, I could use some space too right now. Since then, though, she has been super nice to me. She flipped her shit just like that. We talk about this a lot in the Powerful Man, how you can change your woman's attitude so quickly, and guys are alarmed when it starts happening. And then he goes on to say, for the 2 to 3 weeks after deciding to move and before the first week, now that she's actually moved out, she has been giving me love and attention again. She's calling and texting me and wanting things to work out. What the hell? I ask her what's changed, and her only response is, I don't know. I actually told her 2 days ago to stop calling and texting unless it's about the relationship or the kids, to stop checking in so I can focus on healing and improving myself without her daily setbacks. She still calls, but it's a very quick call now because I'm so withdrawn. She's really trying, but now I'm the one who's checked out. I'm confused by her actions. For one, how can she flip her shit just like that and for no real reason when I've been working at things so hard all year with no effect? And two, if I'm checked out, how do I come back from that? Can I even come back from that? I told her I wouldn't take her back unless she puts her family life before her single way of living again, and her husband before her friends again. I don't see it happening, so I'm unable to accept her love right now as a defense mechanism to prevent myself from getting hurt when I'll just call it the vacation home opens again next summer. Or like just before she moved out, when she comes home on the weekends at 1 to 2 a.m., despite her mood shift turning to a positive one this time. I feel I'm playing the situation right, except the fact that she's being so damn nice to me now, it's throwing me off. I feel I need to hold out for her changes before I accept her love again. But in the meantime, I'm feeling that I'm giving up giving up, pushing her away by not accepting what she's giving and by not calling her like she requests me to do so now. She's trying now, and I know she's hurting. I can sense it in her voice since I told her to stop calling, but she keeps calling. How would you play this situation out? And Tim, I sent a quick response to him because transparently I was solo parenting the kids when I saw this, and I said, "Look, I'll come back to this in a few ways, but a few days, or Tim and I will do this on the podcast." It's been a week, and I asked him one question: yes or no? Do you want it to work out? And his response was yes.
So, a couple of questions. There's a lot there. The bit that I focused in on was the idea when he said, "I've been trying so hard all summer." That's kind of the problem.
Yep.
You've been trying so hard all summer to win her back. And now, so imagine it, you're leaning in, right? You're chasing her. You're leaning in. When you lean in, if it's coming from a space of neediness, let's say, "Hey, I need you to want me," she's going to lean out because it can be suffocating, and the women can sense the insecurity. Women often feel what you say or feel what men say more than hear what they say. They feel where it comes from. As one of the coaches say, women are witches, in a good way. But anyway, that's part of the problem, right? And now you've arrived at this point where you're leaning out. You're saying, "Do you know what? Fuck this. No more." Two things have happened there. One, you've inserted a boundary with a consequence, and she realizes that, holy crap, she's crossed it, and she's scared for the outcome, and she doesn't want to face the consequence, right? She realizes you're serious right now. I'm guessing over summer there weren't many boundaries in place. Second thing here is because you've leaned out and you said, "Hey, I don't need you. I'm going to focus on me. Leave me alone." That's a very strong, attractive place to come from. That communicates security for them. You're secure in your decision. You're secure in who you are. You don't need her to complete you. So when you don't, when I hear this play out, it's like, oh my God, is this really the way it is? But when you don't need her, guess what? She wants you.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
So that's kind of why this is happening. Just because you said, "I don't get it. Why is this happening?" Well, that is why it's happening, right? So the question is, if you want this to work out, so you've answered Doug's question, he says yes. The question then becomes, how do you make this work from this place that you are in? So you can enter back into the relationship and build on this instead of reverting to what you were in the summer. Because the summer, it repelled her. It sounds like you were doing the growth for the wrong reasons. Whereas now it's like, leave me alone. I need to focus on me without you. You're doing the growth for the right reasons. Right? It's a very attractive place to be. It's like, hang on a minute, don't leave me behind. No, I want to come. Don't go without me. Right? So you're in a really good place. I know you're frustrated and confused. Yet reaching that place of fuck it, quite honestly, is a very powerful place to be. You know, Doug, Arthur, and I were having a conversation around the table in Tulum when we went out for dinner in Playa del Carmen. And we're talking about the idea of when you reach this place, right? It's the idea of burning the boats. And it's not even the idea of burning the boats. It's like, hey, here are the matches. You burn the boat. I don't give a shit whether you burn it or not. it's a very it's a very strong place to be because it comes from a place of groundedness and you've been very comfortable with whichever direction this goes in. That's unshakable. That's powerful.
Yeah. So well said, Tim. And when we talk about being a powerful man, D, and this will help when you get the opportunity to go to an alpha reset, it'll become very clear for you what I mean and what Tim's saying. I often talk about engaged indifference, and that's what you have now. You're engaged, but you're indifferent, right? You're like, yeah, stay, go. Actually, I want some space, right? You're kind of pushing her away. And now she's like, wait a minute, you've always been chasing me. And the space you're in with engaged indifference, as Tim said, is a very powerful space. Now, I'm going to recommend that you go back and listen to podcast 335. It's Are You Begging for Sex? Now, I know you're not begging for sex, but in that podcast, I talk about a cat, right? All of us have probably been around a cat before. What happens if you walk into a house, a friend's house, let's say, you open the door and you go in and there on the couch is lying, on the top of the couch. It's always on the top. It's a cat. Now, if you walk over there briskly and the cat gets up and runs away, right? Now, if you start chasing the cat around the house, does the cat stop and say, okay, I'll let you pet me now? No. However, same scenario. You walk into that house, you see the cat, you ignore the cat. You go sit down in a chair. You do your own thing. Inevitably, what happens is that cat gets up and ends up trying to get on your lap. That cat now wants your attention. This is what you're experiencing from your wife. They say men are like dogs and women are like cats. And they say that for a lot of reasons. And this is one of them that you're seeing here as this plays out. Now, you are in a very strong place and you're saying, well, how can she flip just like that? Well, it's because you changed.
And it's not just like that. She's been seeing you make changes over summer, and you've been consistent, and the change is now continuing, even in the storm. Your direction isn't changing, and that's given her a lot of trust as well.
Well, I'll say that, Tim, and I'll also say, you got a shit test. I'm going to move out. And instead of going, no, don't move out. Oh my God. You went, great. I could use some space too. And she went, oh shit. Because now this work you've been doing with a powerful man, it's working and you're serious about it. And now for the first time, she's proven, because you've said, things that happened over the summer, her coming back to, the single life that she was living, the boundaries weren't clear enough and they weren't being enforced. So she just kept doing it. And now all of a sudden you're being like the lighthouse that we talk about. You're weathering the storm. You're practicing engaged indifference. You're doing the work on yourself. And she comes back to test you with the ultimate test of, I'm going to leave you. And you're like, great. I could use some time to myself. Woo, talk about sexy. She's like, man, this is the man I married. There he is. Like, he's secure with himself. Confidence, guys. Confidence is extremely sexy to women. And confidence comes from knowing yourself. Confidence comes from being grounded in yourself. Confidence comes from loving yourself and doing those things. The things that we teach, the alpha rise and shine, the alpha decompression, right? Knowing and utilizing the triad of connection, knowing and utilizing the live as a king system, and all of these other things that we go through. For a lot of the guys that are in the brotherhood of the inner circle, every week we do a new masterclass for you guys. These are all things that add on to each other and allow you to fill your cup more and more and more. Now, if you decide to take her back, that choice is yours. What you get to do is set crystal clear boundaries. And that's part one, and that's important. That's really important. But part two is more important. You enforce them. There are consequences. If you want to be with me, you're not going to go out with your friends and getting drunk till 1 or 2 in the morning where I don't know where you are. That's not the marriage I want to be involved in. If you choose to do that, that's cool. That's on you. That's great. You do you, but you won't be married to me. And if that happens, you'll be out of this house, period. And when it happens, because she's going to test it, you enforce that rule. Just like my kids. right? I, I think my kids and relationships are so analogous, right? They're so in a line. My daughter's only 1.5, years old, but it's the same thing, right? If I say you can't get on the table and stand, and then she gets on there and giggles, if I don't enforce that rule very harshly, she's going to do it again and again and again. I see her do this with people. But when daddy comes in and says, get off the table, guess what? She gets off the table. She doesn't get on again when I'm around. The reason is she knows that rules are like gravity. If I pick a rock up and I drop it, what happens? It falls every time. There's not a question of today it's going to fall, tomorrow it might not. There's no question. Boundaries get to be like gravity too. It doesn't mean you get to be a jerk. It doesn't mean you get to be a dick. It just means these are my boundaries. You got to clearly define what yours are here, D. And yeah, that's up to you if you want to do it, right? You've checked out, but you've checked out because you're so hurt. You get to check back into you. Do your work to get over that. Find a way to get to an alpha reset. You got to do it. That's step one, right? And if her calling you to check in on you is make sure you're like, wait a minute, this guy's so powerful. He needs space. Is he cheating on me? Is he sleeping with, there must be another woman. Because now all of a sudden she's finding you more sexy and attractive. So guess what? Ergo, other women are too. My guess is if you keep doing this and you're around other women, you're going to start noticing other women flirting with you. It happens all the time to our guys, right? Because your stock value is going up. You're going up. And as your stock value goes up, people pick up on that energy. You're stepping into the powerful man that you've always been. He's just been hidden over there probably by a nice guy or some other persona. And you're doing this, as Tim said, you're doing the right things. You've been working on yourself. You went through the program. I've read some of your other posts in our private group. You're doing the right things. I was talking to a guy earlier this morning. Amazing man, right? He's actually doing advanced one-on-one coaching with us. And what we were talking about with him, or I was talking about with him, was the idea that so many of us, and I did this too, is that when our cups are empty, right? When we say the cup, right? The thing that fills us up, our energy, our soul, our feeling of self-worth, our fun, all that stuff, our cup. When they're empty, then we often run to the person closest to us, which would be our wife, and ask them to fill it up. We'd expect them to fill it up. Do this for me, fill it up for me. And again, I used to do this. And it's like my son who's 4, I keep using my kids because I see it all the time, of him running around, daddy, daddy, I need this. Daddy, daddy, I need that. And eventually it gets tiresome, right? You're like, do it yourself. And if your wife's cup's empty and your cup's empty, well, that's just a recipe for disaster. And here's the thing. You can't fill your wife's cup up. As much as you try, you can't. That was the conversation we had. It's easier to focus on your wife's cup. It's easier to try to do it, but you can't actually fill your wife's cup. But what you can do, and the harder part, is filling your own cup. So D, get yourself to an alpha reset. Make sure, I would even write these down. Next time you do talk to your wife, let's say something along the lines of, look, clearly things haven't been working out or we wouldn't be apart from each other. And the kind of marriage that I want to be involved in is where my wife, my life partner, wants to be with me. And for that to work for me, she can no longer go out to 1 or 2 in the morning getting drunk all the time. She cannot live this single life. And I get that if that's what you want to do. And I love you and I respect you and I'll always love you. You're the mother of my children. However, I will not choose to be in that type of relationship. So if you'd like to be with me and I'd like to be with you, then there's some things that got to change. And that opens up the conversation. And if these things, then you can go back to consequences and say, hey, if these things do not change, I will not stick around. I don't want to have this conversation 2-3 times. It just won't be the way. And then you and I get to build from today moving forward, the marriage that both of us want. Because if both of us were happy, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I'm sure there's things for you, my wife, that you'd like to see changed. Let's talk about them. Because D, it's clear that your wife loves you. It's clear that you love her. and you guys are trying to find a way back to each other. And I respect that. You're doing the work. Keep doing the work with yourself. It's only going to get better, my friend. Only going to get better.
It's me fired up.
I'm going to the gym after this, so it's perfect. It's great to see you guys going. They're doing the work and are getting results. And I know this isn't the end result right here, but knowing a little bit of this guy's situation, you know, his wife was basically going out, was a single woman living at his house, you know, and a lot of other things that go along with being single, I think were happening. And going from that and being so much in pain, and that would cause me a ton of pain, to now his wife just constantly calling him and wanting to be with him and choosing him. It's because you're doing the work. It's easy to talk the talk, easy to do it, harder to walk the walk. But just like walking turns into jogging, jogging turns into running, and running turns into sprinting. And next thing you know, when walking was difficult, you walk for days. It's just who you are. And this is what's going to happen to you, my friend, is this is going to be embodied with you. Again, set those boundaries, right? Set the expectations, stay in your power, and get your ass to an alpha reset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That would be incredible.
Absolutely.
I want to be at the alpha reset. This man is there. I want to be there. Not that I don't want to be there others, but
he's going to have an amazing experience. You can tell.
It's been a long time coming for this man to get there.
Yes. Yeah. And he deserves it, in my opinion.
Oh, big time.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, I hope that gives you some insight. You know, if you see something like this in your relationship, and all of us can, right? We look at this guy, I'm calling him D. We look at his relationship, what's going on. All of us can see parts of ourselves in this, right? And that's why we bring these questions. It's not just answering his question, but hopefully it's giving you guys insights. Keep your questions coming. We'll do more and more of these as we're getting responses from you guys if you like them. And just like this guy D asked the question, I'm guessing 1,000 other men that are listening to this podcast or this show on YouTube are also getting something out of this. And I'd love to hear what you guys get out of this. So wherever you're finding the show, if it's got the ability to put a comment, do it. If not, jump over to Facebook, YouTube, or over to our private community if you're a member or alumni, and let us know how these types of questions are helping you out. That fires Tim and I up to keep answering these questions, right? There's only 2 of us. And as our team expands, we're able to help more and more men. And we're doing the best we can. I get hundreds of messages coming in. I just physically can't respond to all of them. And I apologize, guys. I'd love to be able to do that. It's just, I would be doing a disservice to myself and my health, and I'd be doing a disservice to you because I wouldn't be able to answer them correctly. So guys, keep moving forward, keep working on yourselves, keep doing the work. Until next time, we'll see you on the episode, The Powerful Man Show.